a significant change before we support it any further.
I call Maggie Barry.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I spoke to the Building Amendment Act No. 3, which was passed in March, and this, of course, is the companion bill, the second of two bills to implement the Building Act review. This is all part of the wider picture with National, the Better Building Blueprint, designed to make it easier and cheaper for New Zealanders to build good quality homes and buildings. The cowboys prevailed for too long. Others have documented the human misery and anguish that has resulted from people who inadvertently bought homes that were completely unsuitable. This bill in particular addresses some of the issues around consumer protection and also, I think, makes the people who are the builders, who are the people who should be accountable, more accountable, and that's partly why I support it. The punishments are more severe, and I think that when you do increase penalties for failing to comply with building consents from $100,000 to $200,000, then you are going to get people paying attention to that. I think the overall situation, if you are a consumer and you're wanting to buy a property, to buy land, either to amend a property or to build one from scratch, how do you tell who the cowboys are? How do you know who is the right builder to go to? From now on, we're going to be actually getting proper disclosure of information. This bill goes through. It will include information about the company, about the people who will carry out the work and about the skills that they bring to the job, and also about their track record. So it'll be a lot harder for the individuals who have been involved with shonky practice or who are not properly set up for the consumer to not accept them and not have them build their house. This was difficult in the past because the cowboys were actually pretty well hidden. But for a very long time, we were held in their thrall, and I think this bill goes a long way to help consumers understand how to spot the cowboys and also to make the sort of informed decisions that we need to do. After all, the rebuild in Canterbury is about to start, $20 to $30 billion worth of building. We have to be extremely careful that we don't get into the situation which has arisen in the past. I think on both sides of the House, we've all admitted that there have been problems. It is, as Alan Martin used to say on the old TV ad, the putting right that counts. And I think Maurice Williamson is to be commended as the Minister for working across parties and trying to come up with a piece of legislation that is going to be able to be passed. And going through to Select Committee, of course, is a very important part of that process. But this did begin back in 2009 when we undertook the Building Act review. It was considered at that time that there was too heavy a compliance or a reliance rather on building consent authorities for building quality, so that responsibility had been taken away from the builders and the professionals and instead given to another entity who often ducked for cover. Change was needed, really, a culture change and an attitude change of the builders. And I think that the incentives for building professionals and tradespeople to step up to the mark are there. They need to take responsibility for the quality of their work and to stand behind it. So I think as a consumer, the knowledge that you will have mandatory written contracts for work that's valued over a prescribed amount. You will also have mandatory disclosure of this information by building contractors, as I outlined it. And then there will be these new offences for breaching those requirements. So I think that the new clauses that are involved and inherent in this number 4 are going to give more protection for consumers, and I think that that is a commendable thing. I think it's also important that you have the remedy of the defect, and you need to have a time frame, and I do agree that 1 year is a good period of time for all parties concerned. So if, for example, there is a problem with a building and you notify under the residential building contract within a year of completion, there is an onus of responsibility on that builder to put it right. And I think that those are the sort of provisions that are in this bill that make it an important part of the overall package that National is bringing through. So I'm happy to stand and speak in support of this bill.
Thank you. Dr. Megan Woods.
Thank you. I'm happy to take a call on this bill, with Labor supporting sending this bill to Select Committee.